Hello everyone, this is In-Game Art with another boxing of the offline product game review. This is Doom plus Doom 2 for the PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, this physical copy here comes with the update version 3.0.0 run on the disc, and I'm happy to say at the time of this video there were no updates available. Now like always, I play all my games completely offline with an unregistered account, and I didn't experience any massive game-breaking bugs or issues. I did experience some oddities and issues that existed long before this ported version of these Doom games, so that's a little disappointing, but I'll go into that in a little bit. But the overall ported version of these games ran pretty darn smooth, pretty good near the beginning and end of the game. Now this physical copy is only available through limited run games, so getting a copy may not be the easiest in the future. And as well, I was still unlocking trophies with my unregistered account. Now this isn't my first time playing these classic Doom games, but this is my first time playing these updated versions of these games, meaning that this includes many of the DLC expansions and stuff like that on disc. This includes the Master levels, the TNT levels, this includes the Signal levels, as well as the Night Dive expansionist version that they did as well, all on disc. And as well as this includes massive improvements in terms of accessibility features and content to be able to make the game more accessible for many people. Though there is some little bit of disappointments in this area from Night Dive Studios in terms of this ported version of these games, but the overall experience was darn good from beginning to end and getting to play those extra levels. I counted around 167 levels altogether with all the DLC and content on disc that you get to play. I do admit playing 167 levels of Doom was a bit of a slog, and I do not recommend doing that because near the end I was just playing this game on the easiest difficulty trying just to get through it because there was just so many levels of Doom. But as well as it does include multiplayer as well as co-op as well, so you can play, at least I tested 2-player split screen. I couldn't test it to see if there's 4-player split screen, but I'm fairly confident there is, but just let me know of what you think. I couldn't test it myself. But overall, going into this game, this Night Dive Studios of this ported version of these games is darn pretty good. If you're confused, there is another collection called the Doom Classic Collection, which comes with Doom 1, 2, and Doom 3. This does not include Doom 3. That's a totally different collection. This collection just only comes with 1 and 2 and all the expansions of Classic Doom on the disc, while the Doom Classic Collection only came with 1, 2, and 3, and I think a few master levels. I can't quite remember, but just letting you know, if you want the best of the classic Doom games, this is the collection to get, not the classic collection. I know that's very confusing. There's so many collections of Doom, and on that point, there's so many iterations of Doom, so many accessibility areas to get Doom. So this collection is, while it's more just for the physical collectors, or if you're someone who's just a hardcore console player and you just want classic Doom. So just keep that in mind. There is a PS4 version, and I do have a video going over that PS4 version because there is some issues with that PS4 version, so just keep that in mind if you're interested in the classic Doom collection. Now, go into this, the first thing I noticed, and was immediately the first thing I wrote down, was that there is no weapon wheel. I was a little disappointed on this. Now, granted, some would argue there's not that many guns to need a weapon wheel, but I was still a little disappointed that I just didn't have the option for a weapon wheel, or at least in the settings to maybe enable a weapon wheel. I mean, I doesn't even have to slow down time. It just would have made going through all the weapons a lot smoother. What's also is weird is that there is no hotkeys to access your BFG, your pistol. I don't even think there's a hotkey to go to your fist or your chainsaw. I had to go into settings and set that up personally myself. I thought that was a little wonky that Night Dive Studios didn't do anything with that. And again, that would have been great for a weapon wheel. I set circle for my pistol and I made square my BFG. I didn't make anything for the fist and chainsaw because I really didn't use them personally myself, so I didn't really see no use in setting that up. But just keep that in mind, so you don't have to go through all your weapons through the hitting L1 or R1 to cycle through all your weapons. You might want to set those weapons to a hotkey, that way you can quickly access them if you need to. Next one is that this is another weird one. There's a thing called a screen flash effects. I think it's in the accessibility features. When you first start this game up, this is disabled. What this is that when the game originally first came out, when you equipped a radiation suit or you got Berserk or something like that, the whole screen would change a certain color. If you got radiation suit, the screen would go green. If you got the Berserk, your screen went red. Why it's important is that this lets you know how much longer you have with that suit or that berserk before it wears off. But when you first start the game up, they disabled this, so that way when you pick up a radiation suit or a berserk, their screen doesn't change at all. So you have no indication whether it's still in effect or it's in effect at all that you picked it up. I highly, highly recommend you first playing this game. Make sure you go in the accessibility features, and it should be, I think, called screen flash effects. Turn that on. Once you do, that's when you can get your screen to turn green when you pick up a radiation suit or pick up a berserk, and your screen will turn red. If you're just confused, like, because I first played, I didn't realize it, and I was like, I thought I pick up a radiation suit, my screen goes green. And that's because they disable it for some reason. I understand having the option in case some people don't like it, but to have it disabled from the get-go is really, really weird to me. Next one is that, now again, most of the stuff I'm going to complain about is mostly just design aspects of the original experience. So some would say that's the original game, you shouldn't be complaining about it, but I was a little disappointed from this Night Dive Studio version that they didn't maybe try to find some ways to rectify this. But that is that there are fall traps, and most of these you can get out of, or find some way to get out of it. But there are ones that are permanent, where basically you're stuck, and you just have to wait to stand there and die, and then have to restart the level. So that was a really frustrating part of playing this classic Doom games, is that there are traps that you can fall into and just not be able to get out. I found that very, very frustrating. And as well as that, I did come across some personal soft locks. Now, these soft locks wasn't because of old bugs or new bugs that came to this. These were just bugs that, when the game was originally being developed, these were never really addressed. Again, I understand that this is classic Doom and these are part of the original experience, but it was a little disappointed. Again, this is a new port version. I would have liked to see some iterations to remove these issues in some way, shape, and form. So it was a little disappointing. I came across some personal soft locks in terms of, like, I picked up a key, but a door is shut, and now I can't get out that door, and now you're just stuck in that room. So there was a few times of something like that. So that was really, really disappointing. And next one is that there was a few times when I hit a switch and I have no idea what it did. That was aggravating because I play Classic Doom, but I am not a hardcore Classic Doom player. I don't know the levels through and through, nor do I know these newer levels. So there was a few times where I hit a switch and I had no idea what it did. And some of them like activating an elevator, so when you hit a switch, you have to run around to figure out what lowered or what raised, so you could figure out what a switch did. That was a little annoying in that area. Next one is just personally, I hated the master levels near the end. The beginning ones are not so bad, but if you go into the master level expansion, some of those master levels are so annoying and so frustrating that it just kind of borderline ruins the game. I recommend maybe the master levels being like the last one you do, because some of those levels are so frustrating. They just feel like a troll level, where it's just like they expect your player to run around hitting the X button across all the walls to find some secret switch or something like that. It was a slog to get through in terms of the master levels. And that's pretty much it. Everything else ran pretty good. Like I said, I mean, most of these issues I talked about were present in the game long before this Night Dive Studio version of the game, which is fine. I know that they were trying to keep the original experience all intact, and I can respect that. But the problem is that I have played so much Classic Doom, it is starting to wear, and some of the cracks are starting to show, and it's just, the overall experience was starting to become a slog for me in terms of having to play 167 levels of Classic Doom. Now, granted, that is on me. It's not expected for everyone to be playing all those levels in one go, but for me, for testing, I had to make sure to run through all these expansions and test them and everything like that, and they all ran good, they all played, and they were all fun for what they were. But playing back-to-back 167 of them on even the easiest difficulty, it was getting rough. That's what took this video so long for me to make, is that there was a few times I just beat one level and I just stopped playing because I just couldn't push myself to finish another level. So I just don't recommend people doing that when you're playing this. If you pick this up, maybe casually play through some, or just play the newer ones if you've always played the older ones. So if you're used to the older ones, just go to the newer ones, that way you can get to experience them. But overall, yeah, there's nothing really wrong. The Night Dive Studio port of this is good. It has all the accessibility features, it runs great, it looks great, and it functions extremely well. Other than those oddities, like I said, the weapon wheel, the screen effect thing being turned off, as well as that no hotkey button for your BFG or your pistol. You have to manually go do that yourself. Again, that's really weird that they overlooked that part about it. But Personally, me, I'm pretty much done with Classic Doom. It's not to say I don't think it's fun. I'm not saying that it should be completely altered or anything like that. But personally, me, I would love to see actually more of a remake at this point of Classic Doom. It could still function and play the same way, but there were so many times I started getting really aggravated at the fact that I can't aim my gun around. So there's a few times I'm trying to shoot an enemy above me, but because I have to like position myself perfectly aligned with them to get my guns to shoot up, it was really frustrating. I know that the original Doom is not really a 3D game. It's more like a 1.5D game where it's actually all 2D, and that's why there's not actually levels that layer over each other because it's all actually a 2D plane. It's very fascinating stuff if you go look up what the engine or how it works of the Classic Doom. But to me, I am ready for a remake. Like, I was really hoping like Nine Dive Studios would have done like a full remake, not in terms of like completely making it like the new Doom 2016, but more like upgraded the graphics, make new assets and stuff like that, make it actually full 3D where you can point your gun up and down. And before you argue with that, there's already mod communities who've done this, like with like Brutal Doom and stuff like that made it all 3D and stuff like that. We have accessibility of the Classic Doom so much that we really can't just have a newer iteration of it in some way, because it's starting to wear thin in terms of coming back to Classic Doom, because it's so widely available. Why not have a new version? Why not call it just New Doom? I would love to see that. And have it all functionality, have the split screen, make it more focused on that and stuff like that, and just have it just an amazing like anniversary of like, hey, here's Classic Doom, here's it all remade with new assets, new enemies, new designs for the monsters, maybe even variations of the imps and soldiers and stuff like that. I think there can be more done with Classic Doom, just them constantly porting it, because it's so widely available at this point. Do we really still need more ports of it? But granted, it makes money, it sells, why won't you? Because here I am, this is like the third or fourth time I've bought Classic Doom collection like this. From like PlayStation 3 to PS4, now this PS5 version. So I guess I'm a hypocrite in that area, because I'm telling people that they need to stop buying these, and here I am buying it. I'm not saying you shouldn't pick it up, but if you haven't played it, sure, yeah, check out Classic Doom. I just don't really see newer generation really being that invested in terms of playing these Classic Dooms, just because of the controls and stuff like that. You can't look up and down, and just navigation can be a little confusing, and backtracking and hitting a switch and I have no idea what it did, falling into traps that can permanently lock you in that area, or soft locks throughout the level. There are some issues, and I would just love to see a full-on remake in terms of still function the same way, speed, action, and stuff like that. Maybe introduce some RPG elements, like upgrading your max health or something like that. Just some weird stuff that adds some extra layers to the game, but for the Classic Doom experience, this is the best experience for it, because it has all the accessibility features, it has all the extra expansions on the disc, as well as the newest one from Night Dive Studio, that's on the disc, as well as at the time of this video, there were no updates available. This is an amazing collection to add to your shelf. And like I said, it is only, from my memory, only available through Limited Run, which is no longer available, so getting a copy may not be the easiest in the future. And this classic collection of Doom 1 plus Doom 2 is only available on PS5 and the Nintendo Switch. There is no PS4 version, so that's a little disappointing in that area. But also, I want to point out the split screen. We had my brother played co-op split screen, and we actually had a fairly good time with it. I didn't do any deathmatch or anything like that. We just played co-op campaign together, and we both were generally pretty impressed for the overall experience of how well it's smooth and how well it functioned. I can see it being a pretty good two-player game if you're interested in that. So again, thank you all so much for watching. I will provide links down in the description if you're instant copy. I mean, it's really going to be, are you a fan of Classic Doom? Have you not played Classic Doom? Man, do you want every variation of Classic Doom on your shelf? And heck, yeah, to pick this up if you can. But in the end, this is the best and ultimate collection of Classic Doom you can get on your shelf, and as well as the fullest accessibility features and content. So again, it's well worth a pick up in that area, or just physical collecting. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!